Hello, and welcome to the first ever episode of the Money Hungry Mama podcast, where I have this beautiful human, Katie Fortune, who is the podcaster of the Different Ability podcast. And she is so sweet. She is going to interview me for the first ever episode of the Money Hungry Mama. So thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you so much for having me. I am so pumped. I've been excited all day about it. Awesome. All right. So, because I'm the interviewer, this is like a flip and a change and everything. We were chatting about it before, and I'm like, Brittany, do you ever want someone to interview you? Because I know it's hard to talk about yourself on podcasting. It's weird a lot of the times. So, can we just get a little bit of background on like the day you became a money hungry mama? Can you share about
Oh my goodness. First off, yes, I was actually like sweating trying to figure out how I was going to be able to sit here and tell my whole entire story because it is so nerve-wracking to talk about yourself. So I really do appreciate this. So the day I became a money hungry mama was the day I found out I was pregnant with Noah, my first son. He is now 7. He's going to be 8 in August, and I will never forget it. It was one of the Christmas holiday weekends. I was at a school function and I wasn't really feeling good. That was a Friday night. Saturday, I slept all day. Sunday, it was a very traumatic experience where I had this really horrific pop in my stomach, so loud that my husband actually heard it. And it was extremely painful. He was like, "We have to go to the hospital. We have to go to the hospital." I was like, "No, no, no, we're not going to the hospital." Like, I was a teacher and it was more work to stay out and find a sub than it was for me to go to the hospital. Right. So I was like, "No, no, don't worry about it. Like, it's fine. If I'm still in pain in the morning, I'm going to go. I promise. Like, I'll go to urgent care." Turns out the next morning, I was still a lingering pain because when I tell you it was excruciating, like it was unlike anything I've ever felt in my life. So I go to urgent care and I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, it has to be my appendix. Like, what else could this possibly be? I was 27. We were not actively trying. And the doctor comes in and he's reading his chart and he goes, okay, so it's either your appendix or something's wrong with your baby. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah. So what I'm seeing here is I'm thinking it probably could be the appendix. I don't think anything's wrong with the baby. I was like, I'm gonna need you to rewind that back. The what? And I just start like tears. And he goes, oh, you didn't know. Let me get a nurse. So he backed out. The doctor was like, let me get a nurse. And he goes and he gets this woman, and I will never, ever forget her. She was this just genuine human. And here I am, and I just start crying. And it's like she knew exactly what I was crying for. She starts rubbing my back and she's like, it's okay, sweetie, it's okay. I was like, we just have no money.
Oh,
And she's like, with every mouth comes a loaf of bread. So that is the start. That whole next day I was in the hospital. My husband came, my mom came. It was like this whole big thing. I'm not going to get all into it, but we obviously were blessed with Noah. He is here, but I'll never forget the ride home from the hospital. Both my husband and I were just silent, dead silent. And I knew we were both thinking about the same thing. How the heck are we going to afford this baby? And that is how the Money Hungry Mama was born.
okay. Okay. You took me on a wild ride there. Okay. This is genuine. I don't know any of these stories. At first, I was like, I thought you knew you were pregnant, but the second you're like, I'm sorry, the what? They hit me? And I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
How far along were you?
I was so early. All 3 of my pregnancies, I found out at 3 to 4 weeks. Like the millisecond that your body would tell you that it was possible, you're really not supposed to know that early. 3 to 4 weeks, all 3.
Oh my gosh. So wait a minute, because here I am. Oh my gosh, I get so excited about this stuff. Was it your appendix? That's the real question.
It was Noah. What he did was, I guess I had cysts and he snuggled up. And when he snuggled, he popped a cyst. So that's what was heard that was so loud. And it was like a pretty big one. They saw it like dissolving in the ultrasound. But that's exactly what it was. He like snuggled up and he was like, this is my home now. And that's the pop that was heard.
My gosh, that is insane and
Mhm.
awesome all at the same time. My goodness.
Crazy.
So, can you explain to me a little bit about what the money hungry mama is? Like that day you became a mom, right? Obviously. And How did that all come? Yes, the money thing. Just give me a little background on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, I was a teacher. My husband was a security tech. And eventually, I am going to get into this whole entire thing with all of you. I'm going to be extremely raw and real. We bought a house in a town that was pretty far from our work. It's about an hour and a half. It was a new build. And the reason why we did not have money was because when we signed for the mortgage, they had originally told us it was $1,500 less. And apparently, this company is very well known for doing this to people. And again, I did not make enough money. And, my husband was still so like on the down end pole of his job. Now we would have been absolutely fine. But back then we were not fine. That was $1,500. It cost me about 700 to get to work every day. There was years of living on credit cards trying to sell this house. But because we lived in a brand new neighborhood, who wanted to buy a house that was already built? We
Mhm.
were one of the first builds in that neighborhood. So that was also, and you know what? It was like one of my biggest regrets to this day was thinking to myself about money.
Mm,
I feel like when you find out you're going to be a mom, like it should be this beautiful, wonderful experience. And my first thought was, oh my God, like, how am I going to pay for this child? Like,
mm,
it kills me that that was my first initial reaction. But, I wouldn't be who I am today doing what I do now if that wasn't my first initial reaction. Because I know somebody here who's listening is definitely in the same boat. Maybe not buying a house and going into severe credit card debt over it, but, in the boat of being like, how the heck am I going to do this? Or, seeing those bills pile up on the counter. You're not alone. You're literally not alone. So with the money hungry mama, what had happened was we were down,
mm.
and I found out I was pregnant, and it was just like game on. I had eventually tried almost now close to 30 side hustles to bring in extra money just to be able to survive. We eventually sold the house, thank goodness. We ended up having to bring a loan to closing because we had to drop the price of our house from what we paid for it. So we actually had to physically bring a loan. So we are about 2020
Oh,
was the year that we sold it. And this is the first year that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I will absolutely be so transparent about all of that, but there's a light. There's a light and we see it. And yeah, so that's how it was born. I've tried, close to 30 side hustles, and that has led me here to be talking about it on this podcast.
my gosh. Though, I thank you for sharing that because I really do think, and I know you being vulnerable and honest about that moment where yes, in your mind should have been, air quotes,
Mhm.
excited and so excited about having a baby, but you instantly felt that first. You are not alone in feeling that. I know that for a fact because I've heard many other people think the same things. So that will be really helpful and is really helpful for people to hear that and understand that. And that goes for your first baby, second, third, however many, those things, it's real. That's a real thing that people think about and have that. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I know I apologize. I love getting into the nitty gritty. I know you're going to be getting into all of this and the other episodes, but here we are just chit chatting. Now, we met because of an amazing opportunity that I decided to jump in on. And an incredible person thought we'd be a great pair, which they were absolutely right. Can you share a little bit about your life in the book world, in children's books, expanding what you're doing, sharing a little bit about that? Because number one, everyone wants to hear this, but I definitely want to hear this.
Oh my gosh, I love you. You're too sweet. Yes. Oh man, books. Okay, so 2020 was kind of like my super hustle years where I was trying to figure out exactly what I wanted to do. Um, I'm sorry, 2018. So now 2020 comes, and books had always been on my mind, like writing children's books. I was an elementary school teacher. I really wanted to do it. But the problem with children's books, and for anybody listening, yes, I am going to be talking about it and I will give you tips and tricks, but it's not a hustle that I recommend if you don't have money.
Mm.
Okay, so like if you don't have the money coming in, this is not the hustle for you because you have to put money into it. So when we were kind of climbing a little bit more and seeing a little bit of light, I was like, okay, like children's books, this is the time. I turned to my husband and I was like, I want to do this. He was like, let's go. It's time. And how it came about, I was teaching fourth grade and I had a class and I didn't I was trying to help like find books about kindness, but I couldn't find one with the message that I wanted because not everybody does have to be friends at the end of at the end of the day. They just don't, but they do need to respect each other. That needs to happen. I don't need you to walk away thinking you're going to be friends for life, but I need you to know that even though that person might not be your cup of tea, you don't have to tell them they're not your cup of tea. You just have to respect each other enough to just be civil, just sit here and not have to fight. The Merslings was born. And that was actually Mer. My dog is named Hercules, and I call him Mer. And originally they were the Merzels, and then I just kept playing with the ending, and it turned into the Merslings. And they were born, and I had no idea what I was doing. Literally none. I had joined Facebook groups, I had done all the things, but I was also mortified if anybody actually found out that I wrote a book, which is hysterical now, looking at me now, talking about this stuff, teaching people how to do it. Like it's actually, hysterical. But I was so terrified that people were going to find out what I was doing and make fun of me that I did not talk about it. So when the book launched on March 4th, 2020,
Hmm.
see where I'm going with this?
Mm.
When COVID hit. I had three people buy the book the day it came out, and it was my husband, my mom, and my grandma.
You're so
'Cause
supportive.
they were the ones that knew. So they were the ones that bought the book. So that was how I started writing children's books. And yeah, as it grew, I really enjoyed it. And Noah was such an inspiration for me. So it kind of left the classroom and went into my home where one day Noah was a baby and I was rocking him to sleep. It was about 2 a.m. And as like a mom, I was always trying to make things perfect. And I was trying to think of like a perfect song to sing. Because in my mind, I was like, this is going to be it. This song is going to be the one I'm going to sing to him every single night before bed. What could it be? And I'm sitting there rocking and I'm thinking, and like when I tell you I'm thinking, I was thinking of songs that I grew up with. I was thinking of my wedding song. Like I was go musicals. I'm like, what could be our song? By the time I went to go sing the first note, he had already fallen asleep and his little ear was like right on my heartbeat, like right on my chest. So he fell asleep to my heartbeat. And here I am completely silent, just like thoughts in my head. What am I going to sing to this kid? What's going to be our song? And he passed out to my heartbeat. And that was my second book, The Perfect Lullaby. And it goes through all of the different kind of like lullabies, like Rock by Baby. It does like a little nod to all of those. But at the end, the baby falls asleep to the heartbeat while the mother was thinking. And then I moved on to the Toddler Manor series, where I wanted to teach my little man how to be kind and have manners. But his problem was he never wanted to sit long enough to hear it. So these books were completely interactive with him in mind. You jump, you clap, you turn, you repeat. And I have three out right now. They're the Mine Monster, because one day I turned to him and he just kept saying mine. I was like, you're being such a mine monster. And I was like,
I love that.
and then the Whiny Werewolf and Yucky Yeti. And I have three more that are in the works. So all of them are completely interactive and repetitive as the teacher in me to try to instill that learning of what I was trying to do to use those kind words. And it led to me having my beautiful children. So my daughter was born in 2021 and I took maternity leave with her. And I was like, okay, I'm going to focus solely on children's books now. Like this is going to be my thing. So all those kind of came out in that mist and I was going to go back to teaching. I was it. I was hanging up my hat and I was like, okay, I have to go back now. And I found out I was pregnant with my little Lukey. So I had 2 more years. And in those 2 years, my life changed drastically. I saw a posting and it was to be an author coach for a company, selfpublishing.com. And I applied. And I remember I was like, if it's meant to be, let it be easy. That's all I kept saying. If it's meant to be, let it be easy. And I ended up getting that position. And my boss at the time was like, I just want you to know I had no intentions of hiring a children's book coach. Like I literally said I was never going to do it. He goes, and then I met you and it was game over. So now I teach authors, which is how I met Katie because she has a nonfiction coming out. And yeah, it's completely changed me. I was able to speak at speaking events about how to write books, and it just totally has taken off. But I am back to being a money hungry mama because I am trying to grow my children's book again my business. And in order to do that, like I said in the beginning, you need money. You need money for all of these things up front. So I have a whole holiday checklist series coming out. I have 3 more of the toddler books that I want. So that money is just doing its own thing, going back into the business. So here
Yeah.
I am back to hustling.
I love that. I was gonna ask that next thing too, is that like getting back into doing more. And again, I'm just so grateful our paths crossed the way it did. Because like seriously, thank you to Nate, who was like, Brittany's gonna be your coach. And the next day I had a call with you. It was like boom, boom, boom. And that's been a year, by the way.
Right.
And we are getting to the end of all of this, and it's been so great. And not to like plug, but you've inspired me to do children's books next too. So you know that, which
Yeah.
is so exciting. And yes, you're so great what you do. And oh my God, I love you, girl. You're the best. So getting back into the side hustle thing is going to be because of you wanting to keep growing your children's book life, and you're author. I mean, you're an author of other, like, I mean, you're an author, right? Like you're working on a lot of things, but you did talk about obviously debt, and I really appreciate you being honest and open. I've done that too in the past on some of my episodes, and becoming debt free. And it was such a big goal of mine to do
Mhm.
that. And then my husband's, it was his goal too. And he didn't get it right away. And then when it clicked, like he's like, "Oh, we're doing this." Like he was like, "Let's go." And since then it's just been very freeing. So like, how are you trying to get to that debt free, like, scream of like, "Yay, I'm debt free," and having no more credit cards or
Yeah.
any of that kind of stuff? What are your plans on that?
So we already don't have any credit cards. I signed up for anybody listening that has any sort of credit card debt that is okay giving credit cards up. I signed up with Navicor Solutions. It is here in Jersey. I'm not too sure if it's everywhere, but it's a nonprofit. And the great thing about them is you struggle hard for 1 month because you have to pay their like their payment and all your credit cards. So my credit never dropped. In fact, like it's been 2 months and it's shot up like 45 points. So if anybody here is listening, it is a nonprofit. It only costs like a $60 startup fee. Um, and the whole point of them is to help you get debt free. So I don't have any more credit cards. And they negotiated all of my credit cards down to like 6%. And in 5 years, we'll be completely paid off of everything. But it's going to be way more than before 5 years because your girl's back to hustling. So I am back to trying all these new hustles. Clearly, podcasting is one of them. I am going to be sharing everything that I'm doing. I already made a TikTok and a an Instagram account, the Money Hungry Mama, and on those, I'm like every single week adding new side hustles into the mix, talking about ones that I've done, having the podcast to showcase moms who are absolutely killing it. Even though this is the first episode, technically, I've interviewed 3 different groups of women, and my gosh, like the amount of knowledge and determination, I can't. I'm so excited to share it all and to just showcase all of these beautiful humans on this podcast.
Well, and I think that's so awesome because you're doing that, but you're again openly and honestly just talking about it. And money is sometimes such a taboo
Mhm.
topic. I love talking about it, and I'm no human mom over here. I just want to make that very clear. I have a dog. But I love talking about it, and I'm not afraid to talk about it. And I know you're not either, which is really cool because it's like I think about people like, what did I want to know? What would I have wanted to know 5 years ago? And I want to help people get there. And I know you do that too because you're my book coach, and you've like kicked my butt through this whole process and have done such a wonderful job. And I'm saying this right here. I would not have written a book if it wasn't with you. Seriously. I wouldn't have gotten through it, girl. Like, I know I would have, but it would never be what it is today if it wasn't for you. And you, like, I remember the first time we met, and you were like, I was telling you my ideas, and you're like, "I love it, I love it, I love it, but you need to do this. You need to do more. You need to," and she kicked my butt. And I'm like, I love her. So you and the knowledge you bring and all the different things, you're open and you're honest and you're vulnerable. And that's so, so important. So I'm super excited for you and what you're doing and all of that. So my last question, I think, is what is your goal for this podcast? And where do you like give me your dream of where you see this thing going? Because you gotta manifest it, right? Manifest it right now.
Gosh. Okay. So my goal is, and the scary part is talking about money. Like I know that there's going to be people that on here that are listening to me and hearing all of the things that I have to say and all of my personal business. And my I want to make one thing very clear. This is called the money hungry mama, but I got a money hungry husband too. Like he is doing Amazon Flex on the weekends. Like it is not like he's not doing it too. I'm just being more vocal about it. So just wanted to make that very clear. But the goal for this podcast is I will never forget standing in line in Costco with diapers in hand and my son's formula and sobbing. I was just sobbing because I didn't have enough on my card to the point where I had to call my mom and say, "Hey, is there any way you can sell me money because I'm standing in line for Costco and the baby needs diapers and formula?" And I know that was not just me. I know it's not just me now. I know somebody listening to this is happening to. And my goal is to show other moms that you're truly not alone. Everything we see, like I had friends around me whose parents bought them houses and some had $1 million in assets and all these things. That's not everybody. It's not. And if that's your circle, you're not alone. Like you found, if you found this podcast, it's going to be something that's going to show you all the possibilities for what you could do to make money. Or even if your dream is just to be able to be your own boss, to be with your kids, to not miss that game, to not do, have to call out of work and get in trouble because you're going to a preschool graduation. Like this podcast goal is to showcase all these incredible opportunities and jobs and dreams and budgeting skills because I'm hoping I get a lot of good people doing that so that you learn what you're going to do and eventually my hope is I was thinking about it last night. With podcasts, like one of the ways to make money is to get sponsored and to content creators and getting brands and things like that. If that ever happened to me, if I ever get to that point where I have brands calling, I don't want their money. I want to do it as a giveaway. Like what you would pay me to do and to show your brand. I want to work together to do it to a giveaway to a mom that's in line at Costco right now.
Mm,
That is my goal. It truly is. Like that is the money hungry mama goal is just to build this community because I felt so alone. I felt so closed off. Like nobody could possibly understand what I was going through in those moments of oh my God, I remember like just dropping to my knees and sobbing, like, God, please help. Like I have nothing left. And he put Money Hungry Mama, like I had a blog back in 2017. It was one of my first things back on my heart then. And here we are full circle, almost 10 years later doing a podcast. And I'm just like, you know what? It's time. It's time to be more vocal about it. It's time to, shed my insecurities and my blanket and just be real. And because somebody needs to hear what I have to say and all these other moms.
oh my gosh. Oh, you're making me cry. What I love so much about that is you were currently going through it. You're not someday you're going to be someday soon, by the way. You're going to be talking about like, "Hey, when I was in debt," but right now you're literally going through it with people
Mhm.
that are listening to this, that are doing that. And that is super impactful because you're not just like 10 years ago I did this. No, you're like again, someday you're going to be talking that, okay? We know that. And it's going to be sooner than later. But right now, where this thing started, you're in the thick of it with everyone else. And that is powerful, Brittany. I am so proud of you.
Yeah, no, I'm tired of feeling like I'm alone and, watching so many things. And social media could be very disheartening, but it also could bring people together in such a powerful way. Like I see this all the time. Watch my video for 1 minute and you can help me.
Mhm.
Watch my video. And, you know, I just wanted to have a space to be like, moms are doing it. People have done what we're going through. And it's just, there's so much opportunity
Mhm.
here. There really is. There's so much, money's just paper. Money is just paper
Mm.
and we can get paper.
Yeah. And when I saw a Instagram reel or something today. One of my friends sent it to me. And for some reason, I had this like literal slap in the face aha moment of this guy talking about something. And I sat there and I had this overwhelming feeling of, wow, I'm so grateful I get to be in this day and age where I get to like learn from and be inspired from people from all over the world out of my phone. And like, I love meeting people in real life because we are going to do that,
Yeah.
obviously. And I love that too. But it's just like, I'm so grateful. I don't, and being dyslexic, that's my little thing. You know that. But I don't want to go read a book about it. I actually want to listen to it or consume it in a different way because that's how my brain works. How lucky are we that we get to have these opportunities and to like know and not literally physically know all these people, but like get to know these people, get to know you, Brittany, and what you're going through. And that's going to connect people so much more than just anything else. It's just being raw and real in you, and you're doing that. And I love that. And I also just want to say, too, shout out to your husband. He sounds like a really, really good, supportive person. And I
Oh
know you
man.
both support each other so well. And that's also just something to not forget about either. And I know you don't. I'm just like
Yeah.
acknowledging that, and that's really beautiful.
Literally, it was April 1st, and I said to him, "Hey, I think I finally want to do the Money Hungry Mama podcast." And he was like, "Podcast?" He's like, "Let's go." And I was like, "What?" He goes, my within like I'm not even kidding, maybe like an hour we were at my parents with a bunch of stuff. Like I had this beautiful mic because I was doing podcasts for for other podcasters for
Yeah.
my books. And he brought me right into I have the bag here at home to have like stuff and decor that has not been hung yet because I don't have it all. And he's just like this anchor that I swear to goodness, if I did not have, I would not be who I am today either. So thank God for him every day twice.
My gosh. And I have to say, little shout out because again, this directly relates to you. If it wasn't for my husband, I wouldn't have signed up for self-publishing, even though I wanted to. And I said to him, I go, what are your thoughts? And he goes, what are you waiting for? And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? I'm like, what? He's like, duh,
I
do
love it.
it. And so like it's beautiful and it's wonderful and you gotta cherish that because
For sure.
it is important.
And I just
Any
really quick want to say for anybody that's listening that doesn't have that support system, doesn't have that anchor, you do now because that is the point of this podcast is to build that community. And girl, I promise you are not alone. You can always reach out to me whenever if you just want to say, "Hey, I have this idea." I'm down for it. I want to hear it.
And she's not lying. I do it to you all the time. I like at our last like call, I was like, "Hey, yeah, the book's going great, but I have new ideas for another one." She's like, "Tell me them all." And it's like, "Okay." And so you are absolutely authentically the person that you see online, in emails, everything on this podcast. I selfishly am going to say right now, girl, I need you to come on mine. I would love for you to be a guest, share your whole life story, and I'm going to be asking all the hard questions more than even today, but any last words for your first ever episode?
First ever episode, last words. Thank you for being here and thank you for listening and caring what this mom has to say. And I am so excited to see what this podcast can do for you.
Oh my gosh. Brittany, thank you also for allowing me to come on and hang out with you. Everyone's like, who's this
Thank you.
Katie weirdo? Yeah, that's me. I'm here.
I love
But
it.
I just was so excited. I know how hard it is to truly talk about yourself. Not that, I mean, you did a great job, but like it's awkward, you guys. Like getting on a mic, and then I've done it for 5 years now. I'm used to it, but I was like, oh, it'd be so fun to have someone interview me on my own podcast. And so I was like, hey, Brittany, you want me to do that for you? And you're like,
I love it.
and so thank you for letting me be here and being a tiny little part of your amazing, amazing next adventure.
Oh my gosh, I love you so much. Thank you so much. Honestly, I wouldn't have been able to do this without you. And for all of you listening, this podcast would be nothing without you listening. And I hope that every single episode you realize that dreams are real, you can chase them, and to stay hungry, mama.